Once upon a time, in a small Chinese village, there lived an elderly man named Mr. Wang. Known for his vast knowledge and wisdom, he spent his days reading and sharing stories with the villagers. People from neighboring villages often visited him to seek advice and learn from his profound understanding of life. One day, a young man named Li, troubled by the complexities of life and the struggles he faced, decided to visit Mr. Wang. Li had heard many tales of Mr. Wang's wisdom and hoped to find answers to his questions. When Li arrived at Mr. Wang's modest home, he found the old man sitting in his garden, quietly reading a book. Li respectfully greeted him and explained his troubles. He spoke of his frustrations at work, his worries about the future, and his difficulties in understanding the meaning of life. Mr. Wang listened patiently and then invited Li to sit down. He handed Li an old weathered book, saying, "This book contains the wisdom of our ancestors. It may hold the answers you seek." Li took the book and eagerly began to read. To his surprise, the pages were blank. Confused, he looked up at Mr. Wang, who smiled and said, "The book is empty because the wisdom you seek cannot be found in words alone. It must be experienced and understood through your own journey with God." Seeing Li's perplexed expression, Mr. Wang continued, "Let me share with you a story. Many years ago, there was a great scholar named Zhuang. He dedicated his life to studying the ancient texts and seeking wisdom. One day, Zhuang encountered an old fisherman by the river. The fisherman, noticing Zhuang's troubled expression, asked what was bothering him. Zhuang explained that despite all his knowledge, he still felt lost and unfulfilled. The fisherman smiled and said, "Knowledge is like the water in this river. It flows and changes constantly. To truly understand, one must not just read about the water, but also feel it, experience it, and become part of it. Likewise, true wisdom and peace come from a relationship with the God, from living a life in harmony with God's will." With that, the fisherman invited Zhuang to join him in his daily routine. Zhuang spent weeks with the fisherman, learning the art of fishing, understanding the rhythms of nature, and embracing the simplicity of life. Through these experiences, Zhuang found clarity and peace. He realized that true wisdom comes from living in accordance with divine principles, experiencing God's presence, and connecting deeply with the world and people around us. Mr. Wang paused and looked at Li. "Life is your book of wisdom. Every experience, every challenge, every moment is a blank page waiting to be filled with your own understanding. Embrace your journey, seek God's guidance, and learn from it. You will find the answers you seek through your relationship with the God." Li left Mr. Wang's home with a renewed sense of purpose. He understood that wisdom was not something that could be handed to him, but something he had to discover through his own experiences and faith. Over time, Li learned to face his challenges with patience and an open heart, trusting in God's plan. He grew wiser with each passing day, finding meaning in the simplest of things through his connection with God. Years later, Li became known as a wise and compassionate man, much like Mr. Wang. He often shared the story of the empty book with others, encouraging them to embrace their own journeys and discover the wisdom and peace that come from a deep relationship with God. The village continued to thrive, with the teachings of Mr. Wang and Li passed down through generations. The story of the empty book became a cherished lesson, reminding everyone that the true source of wisdom lies within their own experiences, their willingness to learn from life, and their faith in God.